Hi everyone, and welcome back to our first video of 2023. Today what we're going to look at is Windows 365 and the different ways of granting users access, whether that through be self-service, through your new user process, or direct package assignment. Please stick around and continue watching till the end of the video for some very useful solutions. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the solutions. So one of the simplest ways that you can assign a user a license would be to grant a direct assignment to the user by clicking all users, selecting the relevant user and adding the licenses. So the assignments and then adding the license this way. Now I aren't going to do this at the moment because the problem with doing it this way is if your user is not in a group that's in scope of a provisioning policy, it will leave an object within the Windows 365 environment where it just says it's not provisioned, and the reason it won't provision is because it won't be in scope of a provisioning policy. It's for that reason that I like to do Windows 365 deployments all focused around a group-based deployment. And what I mean by that, so if I head over to Windows 365 and click on the provisioning policies, so as you can see inside here, I've got a custom image that does a Azure join in US West, and it's assigned to two groups, so Windows 365 trial and Windows 365 demo. So when a user is in scope of that group, it will be in scope of the provisioning policy. Now, if we just go over and have a look at the group, you can also see that I have assigned the same the Windows 365 license to this group. So meaning when the user falls into this group, it will not only give them an instance and a license within Windows 365, it will also then start to automatically provision that machine. That's not saying that you can't do a two-pronged approach, so grant the user a direct license and also add them to a group. However, that's just making your solution a lot more complex than it needs to be. Again, and taking out any of the additional features such as Microsoft Flows, Forms, or Access Packages, you could obviously just come in here and add the user directly to the group to also create the Windows 365 machine, putting that manual step on your IT admins. Yeah, so if we look then to how users could self-serve this for users that are currently within your environment, if you have an Azure AD P2 license, you can make use of access packages. Okay, so if you go down, if you're in the Microsoft Entra portal, if you go down to Identity Governance and Entitlement Management, and we head into Access Packages, okay, you can see at the moment I haven't got anything available, but I do have a Windows 365 catalog. Okay, what I want to do is just go in here. I'm just going to add a quick resource to this package. So, for example, we have a Windows 365 SharePoint site that is now available. Okay, so with access packages, the catalog controls. So you have an access package that's assigned to the catalog, and the catalog controls what resources can be within inside those access packages. So if I click on access packages and create a new access package, so this is the package we're going to create that a user will then be able to self-service. Okay, so if I give this a name as Windows 365 deployment, give it a description, and then let's go and have a look at the resource roles. So as we spoke a little bit about previously, if I click on add, you can see when I was creating the catalog or updating the catalog, I had a lot more options available. but because this access package is linked to that catalog, where we only selected the Windows 365 SharePoint site, it will only make that one visible. Okay, so I want to grant the user access to that site, and I also want to grant the user access to the trial group. Okay, and for both of these, I want access as a visitor, and for this one, I want to give them a member. Okay. If we look at the requests, so I only want it for users in my directory. All members can access this. You can split it down to a specific group, excluding your guests or including your guests. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to require approval because licenses are expensive sometimes, right? Depending on the license level you choose. We want them to require some justification. We don't just want to be giving anybody a license for no reason. A business justification is always nice to have. Now you can add up to 3 stages here, so you can have a first level manager approval, then a billing approval, and so on. For the purposes of the demo, I'm just going to stick to the one approval. I'm going to choose a specific approver, and that will be myself. Okay, and I've got 14 days to approve this request. Now I can require approval justification. For this purpose, I'm not going to, just to make it simple. And then we want to enable new requests. Okay, so the request information. So they've already got the justification, so you don't need to add anything in here. But you could add something like, do you agree to this machine being re-provisioned? And then you can do short text, multiple choice, or long choice. Okay. If we then look at the life cycle of the access package, so we can say we want this to expire on a certain date, after a number of days, after a number of hours, or we can select never. But users can then request a specific timeline still. For this reason, I'm gonna select never, and then access reviews. Again, you can choose to perform an access review based on your internal policies. But for this reason, again, I'm just going to click no, just for simplicity. Okay, and if we click on, we don't want any custom extensions, review and create. Okay, so you can see this is now active. If I head over to my test account, which is Max Badger, okay, and I just click back on access packages and give it a bit of a refresh, considering I've just deployed this. So you can access this portal at myaccess.microsoft.com. Okay, and you can now see that this access package has been displayed with the name, the description we put in earlier, and what resources it grants access to. So if we click on the access package itself, you will see what resource it's given access to. So you're going to be a member of this group, and you're going to have access to this SharePoint site. If I just head over here and put that in there, you can see at the moment I don't have access to the site. Okay, so if I request access, yes, I do. I don't want a specific period, and because great valid reason. Okay, if I then click request access, if we just head over to our other browser and go to Outlook, this may take a couple of minutes to request, but you can see here Microsoft Azure, there's action required to approve or deny request. So you get to see the justification, the access date, and then there's no end date. If there was any set end dates, it would be displayed in here. So if I click approve request, again, it will take me to myaccess.microsoft.com. You will see the pending approvals. And if you select it and click approve, okay, and then if I go back over to um, the access packages for the user, you will see Windows 365 deployment is pending approval. Let's give it a minute. So during the process, the status will change to delivering when it's adding the user to the group and performing any actions in the backend. Okay, so once it's complete, you will see the status as delivered. Okay, so you remember the site before where we got the access denied message? Okay, so if we just pop the URL back in here again, you will now see that we can get to that site. There's been no additional content taken by ourselves to grant access to this apart from approving that access flow. Okay. If I then head back over to the Windows 365 portal, you will see that the device has already started provisioning as of 8:24 p.m. Okay, so that's a very simple overview of a self-service way of accessing Windows 365. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clear up some resources and then we will come back and look at how we can do it using Microsoft Forms and flows through your SLAM process. Okay, so let's get started at looking at how we can now use it through your SLAM process. Okay, so as you can see, the resources are just finishing clearing themselves up from before. Okay, and you can see that's for Badger M. So this time we're going to create a completely new account. Okay, so if we head over to a form, so this is a nice quick form that was rustled together just for this demonstration. So if we give it a first name of EUC and the last name of Badger, and you can see I've made a quick simple multi-choice here that is a yes or a no, and this will drive the condition of whether the user is going to get granted access to Windows 365 or not. Okay, so for this first example I will click no, just to show the differences between. Okay, and then let me just submit another response. So let's call this Windows Badger. And this time we want to give this user, the user is going to be a temporary member of staff or remote. Okay, so if I click submit and I head over to my flow. So if I just edit this and just show you briefly inside the flow itself. So what happens is when the new user form is submitted, it gets the response details, builds up some variables of the email alias, the group ID of our Windows 365 trial group, the display name of the end user. What it will do is it will then go and create the user with a very super secure password. Okay. And then what happens is based on the field that we had before, so is the user a remote or temporary member of staff? If the response is equal to yes, it will add the user to the group and send an email saying this account's been created, access to Windows 365 is permitted. Okay, if no, it's just going to send the email and the remote worker field will be based on the value. If I just head back then and just show you the two runs we've just completed. So the first one was EUC Badger. So you can see the response details. It's not a temporary member of staff. So if we look then, it's run the condition of if no, and it's sent the email to the account. So EUC Badger, you can see it's just providing me the details. If we then go back to the flow and look at the second one that we ran, so again it's followed the same logic, but this time because we said it was a temporary member of staff or a remote worker, it's added the user to the group and sent the email to say this user is being created. Okay, so if we just then head over to have a look at the users, you can see Windows Badger has been created and it is in the Windows 365 trial group. Okay, so let's head over to the Windows 365 portal. As you can see here, there's no machines provisioned, failed provision, or any grace period. So if I head over to all cloud PCs, and you can now see that the machine is provisioning. Now, obviously, this is a very basic implementation. There is a lot more you can do with time and effort in terms of sending emails, communications. Again, that SharePoint site, making use of that to give them information. But there is some solid foundations here to create a strategy for the implementation of Windows 365. As always, I just want to say thank you for watching and thank you for coming back in 2023 to watch one of our videos. I hope you all have a very good new year and stay tuned for more content to come from EUC365.